Pretty good.
A little warning would be good.
Hey, hi. I won't, I promise. I'm gonna ask you to get something. Yeah. Okay.
What's the matter, Josh?
Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 6 PM.
Oh, Ann, she'll join in. She's gonna,
It's 6 PM and we're gonna drag this out while we're waiting for Ann. Ann's in the building. Let's go ahead and do roll call. Jan, please.
Mr. Austin? Mr. Shuck?
Here.
Ms. McGinnis?
She is here.
Yes. Ms. Nally? No. Ms. Price?
here.
Mr. Bryan?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mayor, you do have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Brian Reese, prayer and pledge, please.
All right, invite you to join me. Our Father, we come to you tonight. We thank you for the privilege of being here together in City Hall. I pray tonight for this meeting that everything on the agenda, as it's considered, I pray that you'd give the decision makers discernment and wisdom on the right decisions to make for our city. Thank you for all they do. I pray that as they serve our city, I pray you bless them. Be with all of our departments and all the updates we just heard in the last meeting. Just thank you for all the good work that's being done here in our city. Pray that you be with our first responders, be with those who are hospital workers this time of year, and pray for our state and our country and all those who serve it. It's in your name we pray. Amen. I invite you to stand with me and participate in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Brian.
Mr. Mayor, the record should reflect Ann McGinnis is also here.
Thank you, Ann. You was at the Board of Works. All right, that gets us to any announcements or public comment that is not on the agenda. Seeing none, we will close this portion. We will go on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll go into old business.
Move to read old business by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 1, under old business, tax abatement request for Modern Metal Roofing Community Development Specialist Dana Monson. Dana, I just want to add before you start, it was introduced on October 21st and approved to advertise for the ERA. Then November the 4th, the ERA was approved and abatement was tabled. And then November 18th, the abatement was tabled again. So here we are tonight.
We are tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, as the mayor said, this was a new project that was brought before the EDC. They heard on October 8th, they originally heard this request for an abatement. This comes from Cornet Roofing. They're doing business as, name is Modern Metal Roofing. They originally came in with a request for a 5-year property tax abatement on $1.2 million in investment and a 5-year personal property tax abatement on $350,000 investment. And they are going to do an addition of a 9,860 square foot building and expansion to their current 30,000 square foot facility. As part of this expansion, they are going to be hiring 6 new employees at an average wage of $20 an hour. Starting wage for them as well. They also are amenable to the 2% and the 5% economic development fees for both of those. The EDC heard this petition and they came back with the recommendation of a 5-year real property abatement and a 3-year personal property abatement, which so that was their recommendation. That for you tonight for this, as the mayor said, we already have the ERA is completed, so we're good on that. Mr. Cornett was hoping to be able to be here, but obviously he's not. I don't know, he may be stuck behind a train or in the snow. We could be either one. But he's not able to be here tonight. So we did have this scheduled and ready to go, so we were ready to present this.
And no additional information was
No,
provided
he
by
has no
him?
more additional information.
Or his accountant?
No more additional information from him or his accountant. No, ma'am.
And it was a unanimous recommendation from the,
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
we did, instead of doing the 5 and 5, we decided on the 5 and 3 with the amount of money that was being put in there, and kind of gave them, there was some discussion of not giving any on the personal property, but with them being an existing company and moving forward and, their history within the community, we decided to give them the 5 and 3.
Okay, any other questions from the council? Okay, I think we're ready for a,
We advertised it as a public hearing?
oh, yes,
We did the public hearing on November 4th
for this one.
for the ERA.
RA, we didn't for
We
this.
don't have to have public hearings
we
advertised.
typically-
We usually do them, but we don't have to have them advertised.
Right, but we
Yes,
typically
ma'am.
ask. if
Okay,
there's
so
anybody.
I will open this up for a public hearing. If there's any questions from anybody about the tax abatement or how it works or any of that. Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. So now we're ready for action.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the tax abatement request for a modern metal building roofing, as proposed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, passes. Thank you, Dana. We'll
Thank you.
go into new business.
Move to read new business by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to read new business by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll go into item number 1, which is introduction of ordinance 2024-12, amending general provisions, building sewers and connections and rates and charges related to the sewer service system. Senior Planner Joanna Tennell, and if you was here for the Board of Works meeting, we had a pretty good discussion, I believe, with some members of Paris Estates, which Joanna's going to explain is the ones that's mainly affected. And it will be open for public hearing on December the 16th for discussion with the public. Tonight is introduction only.
Good evening. With the update of the rates that had went into effect, there were a number of homeowners that were on wells that, once they got their updated bill, had called in with a number of questions. Those on wells are classified as unmetered customers because there is no way to determine exactly how much water they're using. In regard to the concerns, Sherry Phillips, Mark Richards, Matt McElroy, and myself got together to look at some potential options in order to alleviate some of those concerns and allow an unmetered user to be reclassified as a meter user. So that's the main section that was updated. What it states is that if an unmetered user desires, they can contract with a licensed plumber to install a private flow meter. The flow meter does have to meet some requirements. One of those is that it is remotely monitored, and the access to that remote monitoring would be provided to the city of Franklin. They would need to submit a copy of what they're wanting to install for approval prior to having that installed. Once they did have that installed, similarly to a metered customer, the average water flow would not take effect until after the October 1st through March 31st averaging time period has passed. So if this goes ahead and passes, in December, somebody goes and gets a meter put in February, they're not going to be changed from an unmetered customer until after that October through March 31st takes effect. Other items in the ordinance, since we were updating it, there were some areas that just needed further clarification, or we have, had a number of questions. One of those being, there's a section of the sewer service system that states when you have an existing building on an existing lateral, that a new connection is not required. However, there's some, there's been questions on, does that mean that we have to connect to that existing lateral? Does that mean that we have to take the lateral and put a new tap on? And then, is there a fee? Is there not a fee? So we went ahead and clarified that within the ordinance on how it actually gets applied. The only time that you are given a new sewer connection fee for a structure that has been demolished and is being rebuilt is if you actually provide a new tap to the main, not repairing an existing lateral. So that's the differentiation. And this is going to be for public hearing December 16th.
Thank you, Joanna. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll go on to the next item. which we can act on tonight. Request approval of budgetary resolution 24-15, transferring remaining community crossing community grant money, $106,170.88. Jan Jones.
Yeah, so this community crossings grant has been completed, so the remaining monies we're putting, refunding back to the funds that originally came. So what I did is I took the percent that we originally took from the three funds, and put back that percent of the 106,000 total. Most of it's going into MVH restricted, then with smaller portions going to MVH, and Lowit special distribution.
Okay, and I just want to add to this just a little bit because there was an article come out in the Journal. There was a community crossing grant that just in the last few weeks that was announced. It was kind of misleading on, like the one that said that Franklin got this, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head right now, 600 and some thousand. That's true. But we also got one earlier in the year, and what we're eligible for is $1.5 million per year. And we always, our team does a good job, and hope the other cities don't figure this out. But we go and do as soon as you can, we go the first round. And then the money that's left over that's given back, then we can use that in the second round to try to capitalize all of that $1.5 million a year. So this money was reapplied. Will we get we're gonna do the bids here pretty soon for the next spring, which would be the 2024 round 2 of the community crossing. Plus, in 2025, we have the opportunity to apply for another $1.5 million, which we'll try to do that because we want to utilize all those grant dollars that we can get to get our roads built back up. And I think that's why we did a really good job in the last 10 years. Whenever this started, we have just about maximized every single year the money that we get grants from the state to get our roads in shape. And so I just wanted to explain that was grant money that's going back, but we get an opportunity to try to get real close to that $1.5 million again. So don't know if I confused you or cleared that up, but thank you, Jan. So we can act on this one tonight.
Move to approve budgetary resolution 24-15.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. The next item passes. Jan, thank you. Next item is introduction of ordinance 2024-11, repealing ordinance 15-10, employee handbook, clerk treasurer Jan Jones. And Jan, I think you gave a real good, how you went through the procedure. Can you do that again? Thank you.
Yes, so this is, I mentioned in Waterworks, we started the discussions of a new employee handbook back in February. We reached out to a company called New Focus, which is a consulting firm on all things HR. And you guys allowed us to be able to do that, thank you. And so they helped us get started. We have met several times. We have gone through the old handbook. There were some state and federal statutes that were not in the old one that needed to be. So what's nice is they update this employee handbook every year with those state or federal changes. After we had met and went through changes, there was a committee of Lynn Gray, myself, Tara, and then a couple others from my office that have changed. We met with HR or New Focus in person. Once we kind of got like that final draft, then we were able to meet with each of the department heads individually. They were given a copy of that before the meeting so that they could come with any questions that they had. We went through any of their concerns, made necessary edits. Once that was finished, then we sent that back to New Focus to get more of a final draft. You should see how it's saved in my computer. I think the last one is final draft that you guys have now. And so now we're ready, hopefully, to get this passed at the December 16th meeting to take effect January 1. So a lot has gone into this, a lot of eye-opening things that needed to be addressed within the city. A lot of things that people just didn't realize were in the old handbook that stayed the same for the new. I mean, it's been good. It's been 10 or 15 years since it was updated last.
As I indicated at the Board of Works meeting, thank you all for being there too. It's an interesting balance because we have many civilian employees, and then we have the public safety employees, which are governed, quite frankly, by merit systems that are in place. So we have fire and police that maybe have a set of rules and regulations that supplement, and then you have the civil employees. So what Jan and I were cautiously, well, I'm not going to throw her in that. I thought, oh, we'll get this done in a couple of months. Wow, it was like playing whack-a-mole at times. You get this down, and then something would pop up over here. So it has been a long, arduous process, but it's been worth it. But we've met with every department head, and it just needs to kind of, it be a fluid document. To Jan's point, when we would meet with the department head, sometimes they would say, well, why is this in there? And we would say, well, it was in your old one. And they didn't realize it, so it's been educational as well as amending. We didn't change a lot of the benefits and things like that. We clarified them, made them easier. We started a new HR person, so she's been on the ground floor with us, so that will be helpful because she'll be the person interpreting it. And so we put a lot of effort in it. I would say to you that because police and fire work under the merit systems, and as you know, they have merit boards that also govern them. And those merit systems are state statute created. They have some different disciplinary rules and things of that nature. We still have to follow those. So probably the next step after we get this employee handbook done is to then take a comprehensive review of both the police and fire department SOPs and SOGs. They call them different things, standard operating guidelines, standard operating procedures. So we may not be done with this concept. We may be coming to you next year and saying, now let's look at that piece, but we should supplement probably.
Okay, thank you. And that was introduction tonight, so. Next item, introduction of budgetary ordinance 24-22, amending budgetary ordinance 24-20. Clerk Treasurer Jan Jones.
So once, hopefully, we get the new employee handbook passed, there are just a couple edits that we have to make with the budgetary ordinance that we passed last month. For example, in the old handbook and what is listed in the budgetary ordinance, for a professional day 50 miles away, their daily allowance was $35 with 15% tip. Well, we changed that to $80 a day, 20% tip. So it's things like that that are changing in the handbook that need to then be updated in our budgetary ordinance, just so that they're the same.
Okay, thank you, Jan. All right, that gets us, that's all the new business. That gets us into other business, and we have tonight on other business, Franklin Education Connection, report by Franklin students on European trip. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dustin Huddleston, I'm an attorney in town, also president of Franklin Education Connection. If you remember, I was in front of you a few months ago and told you about this wonderful opportunity we had with a partnership with Indris Hauser to take 10 of our students to Europe. And they're here today to present to you about the trip in their own words. They've worked really hard on this presentation. I was fortunate enough to be a chaperone on the trip, along with Nicole Oddie, who's here today from Indris Hauser. She's a director of workforce development, and also Monica Anderson, who's a counselor at Custer Baker Intermediate School. With your support of Franklin Education Connection, this program was possible, and specifically some businesses and individuals in Franklin, Darren and Bonnie Thompson, Joe and Amy Pazak, Platinum Properties, and Pro Power Industries all contributed to offset the costs to help this be more palatable for these kids to go. So without further ado, they're going to do this presentation. The 10 students are here, and I'll have them take it away. So, guys, can you come up?
Good evening, everybody. We're a group of high schoolers from Franklin Community that traveled to Italy, Switzerland, and Germany with Indris Hauser from August 27th to September 5th this year.
How
Landon Compton.
I'm Luke Holcroft.
I'm Isaiah Tunis.
I'm Brooks Huddleston.
I'm Charles Houston.
I'm Megan Merriweather. I'm Holland Beck. I'm Caitlin Duncan. I'm Taylor McHenry.
I'm Isaiah Scott.
All right, so day one of our trip was a travel day. We got to the airport pretty early, and we flew from Indianapolis to New York, where we had a little bit of a layover, and then we got on board our flight to Milan, Italy. It was about 8 hours, and I'm sure you saw the top left picture was me sleeping. After we got on the plane, we had a 4-hour delay on the tarmac. And that is me sleeping for 3 of those hours, and I didn't sleep the rest of the flight.
All right, so as Isaiah said, we had a long flight over to Italy. Once we got there, we kind of hit the ground running, no sleep for the weary type thing. But once we got there, we went through customs, we acquired our bags, and then we hit the ground running. We got on a bus, and we headed to our 4U hotel in Milan, Italy. Once we got there, we kind of got a little bit of break, about an hour, where we ate lunch and rested after our long flight. And then from there, we went to the heart of Milan to go visit the Duomo, which is on, it's on the right of that screen. It's Milan's main cathedral. Construction started in 1386 and finished in 1965. So just under 6 centuries of construction. It's a Gothic-style cathedral, and what I thought was really interesting about it was, there's nothing like that in America, that kind of architecture. And as you can see in there, there's a ton of stained glass, a lot of sculptures in there. And we even got to go on the roof to see kind of Milan from above. It's a very beautiful city, very big, a lot of people. After that, we went down from the roof and we got to shop around Milan for about 2 hours, kind of take in the city, visit, see the culture, that the new people, new faces, all that new food, all those sorts of things. From there, we went back to the hotel where we ate at a restaurant right next to it. We kind of had some authentic Italian cuisine, some lasagna, some pasta, that type of stuff. And then from there, we went back to the hotel and we got a good night's rest.
Day 3 was our first Indershauser experience. We started off the day, me, Isaiah, and Luke, we all started off the day by going for a run. It was really cool because we got up at 5:30, and at that time, people here, a lot of my friends were going to bed at that time, the time I was waking up, so that was weird. But our run was really cool. It was we were going through this small town. It was outskirts of Milan. It was right next to the canal, seeing all the bikers going to work, getting exercise, a lot of bikers. We ended up seeing this soccer stadium. It was this small little soccer stadium. It had bleachers and it had the Italian flag printed in them. It was really cool to see. It was like a rugby soccer field. After we ate breakfast, we headed over to Indershauser Sales Center, where we learned about the more business side of Indershauser and how they did business instead of the mechanical and all the measuring equipment, all the pressure and measuring equipment. What was really cool about that building was it was all natural light. There was no artificial light. Even the ceiling lights were they were sunlight fed. They would capture in the sunlight and then they'd produce light. A lot of windows. And there was no one in the building because everyone in Italy takes the month of August off, which is really cool. It was their summer break. So there was no one there. After that, we went to Milan train station, which I've never been to a train station, at least a official train station. But it was
Pizza King didn't count, yeah. Brooks,
it was really cool because seeing all the people travel and go to their different destinations, you don't really see that in America. Got on our train. It was about a 4-hour train ride through the Alps to Basel, Switzerland. on the train ride, as you can see from the pictures, very beautiful. It was breathtaking to really see. It was nothing like you see here. You got the Rockies, but this is like just mountains after mountains, snow-capped peaks, and you see all the little towns, the different architecture. And this was like the first moment where everyone was kind of like, like we're in a different country, because it was just unreal scenery. Seeing all like the different lakes, the different, we saw a couple, like really small towns that seemed to like just kind of be by themselves, After that, we got to Basel, we went to our hotel, and that was day 3.
Day 4, we woke up, had some good breakfast at our hotel. It was kind of like a buffet style. You could go up there and get what you want. And then we ended up heading to the HQ in Rheinach, Switzerland. And there was a lot of younger new hires there that they were kind of just explaining what they do, talking about their backstory. I remember one of them was a DJ. He was talking about like what he does like outside of it. And we kind of just learned how they operate their tools and whatnot. And the bottom left picture, they had us on a tour, and we were walking through, and that wall, actually, all those blocks came out on the video. It was like a video board, actually. And it was really cool, and just innovative technology that they had there. And then on the top right, we met a lot of their new apprentices they had. And some were our age or even younger, and they were already working for Intershauser and doing like soldering and stuff, and they just do it for hours on hours a day. And after we made some, thermometer devices, we were able to go down to the cafeteria and, chat with them and, kind of comparing our cultures and lifestyles. And then after that, we went on another tour, kind of just of how they prepare their instruments to show their customers how to use them. We were in like their studio. They made videos on how to operate them and whatnot. And then after that, we ended up going downtown and eating food at a local restaurant. It was actually really cool because all of the seats were all carpet, and they had really good pasta and desserts. And then that night, we ended up going and playing cards. That was the food that night.
Okay, day 5, we went to we were in Zurich, but we took a bus to the Lindt chocolate factory, where we had a tour and we got to pick up lots of chocolate for our family. There was a very large selection. I think all my siblings ate all of the chocolate in one day. I don't even think my parents got any. We had a great tour. There was even some flow meters in the chocolate factory that were made by Intershauser that we spotted. Then we had lunch there, and then we got on a bus to go do our guided bus tour of Lake Zurich. We stopped at a little flea market and got to barter a little bit, buy some of their wares. Then we crossed the Lake Zurich. We put the bus on a ferry. It was pretty cool. And we took that across and took a little gondola up the little mountain there and had a little hike. Had ice cream up there. Had a great view from the top. I don't know if there's that picture kind of in the middle. Great view of Lake Zurich. Yeah, that one. Great view of Lake Zurich. Then we took the gondola back down. I don't think you're legally allowed to have that many people on a gondola. It was way too crowded, but they still shoved us all in there.
Great.
But yeah, we took the bus back across on the ferry, and then the bus ride back to our hotel. We ended day 5.
We started off day 6 in Lorach, Germany, and we took a bus from our hotel in Lorach to Basel, Switzerland. Once we got downtown Basel, we spent about 2 hours shopping around, visiting various gift shops and local restaurants. We also ended up seeing a live orchestra concert playing on an outdoor stage, which was a really cool experience. We met for lunch at a local pizzeria, La Osteria. They had absolutely massive pizzas, which we didn't know until we had each ordered our own, as you can see from the picture. After that, we made our way back to Lorock to the Rotland Castle ruins. We had a little bit of a walk uphill to the main part of the ruins, but once we got up top, it was absolutely stunning to see all the different hand-built cobblestone walls. We got a guided tour all the way through the castle, which was really interesting to see all the different rooms that were still standing. We got to go up to the very top point of the castle and look over all of Lorock. Once we got done with the guided tour, we headed back down the hill to a little museum. It's just told a little bit more about the history of the castle, and there was also some medieval armor that we could try on, as you can see from the picture. Some of us tried it on, and it was pretty cool. After that, we took about a 10-minute bus ride back to our hotel in Lorock. We met and walked a little bit down the street to a local Mexican restaurant, and we had authentic Mexican food, which was really good. And they had really good iced tea. And after that, we walked back to our hotel in Lorock and ended the night off by playing some cards.
On our 7th day in Europe, there was a couple of us in our group that had ran in the morning between 2 different countries of Switzerland and Germany, which was a neat experience so that they didn't have to use their passports to go in between 2 countries this time. And I personally didn't run, but after that they had come back and we had breakfast at our hotel, like we did every morning that we were there. And we had taken a bus, our usual driver, Pierre. And we had a tour of company life and working with Enders & Hauser in the original location, which was in Marburg, Germany. And we had a little bit of insight of what it was like to work within the building and what it was like with other co-workers there. We had also split up into 2 groups, one where we would see delicate instrument assembly within within various rooms that would have high level pressures of high air pressures so that no dirt or debris could get within the delicate instruments that were being created there. So something as precise as even the dust in the air needed to be cleared so that the measurements could be tuned perfectly. And the other group was able to go for another soldering experience to create sonic rangefinders, where we could put together little devices where if you tapped a little button on it, it would shoot out sonic pulses and come back to show, and it would measure how long it would take for the pulses to come back to show how far away the object was. And after that, we had left back for our hotel in Lorock, Germany, where we had dinner in the hotel under our hotel with the head of global dual educations in Enders & Hauser. And it was a lovely night, and we had a great dinner with various pastas, and there was fish and some meat, other stuff like that. And then we had played more cards at the end of the day.
So on day 8, we got up early and we got our packed bags and loaded them onto the bus because that was going to be our last night in that hotel. And then we headed to Neuschwanstein Castle. Once we got there, we had to take a 40-minute walk uphill, which was very tiring. But once we got there, we were taken on an audio tour throughout the castle where we saw lots of beautiful murals and paints with depictions of Jesus, angels, and heaven. We also learned lots of really cool facts about the castle, like construction began in 1868 and it was never actually completed. And the king of the castle, King Louis II, aka Mad King Ludwig, was declared insane and drowned himself, and his psychiatrist actually died along with him trying to save him. But on a lighter note, the castle, it's Disney World's inspiration for Sleeping Beauty Castle.
Oh.
Once we got done with the audio tour, we got to go down to the little town beneath it and look at some cafes and gift shops. And then we got back on the bus and headed to our new hotel in Munich, Germany. Once we got there, we didn't have a lot of time because we had to head straight over to dinner. So we just ran up to our hotel, dropped off our bags, and then went to a German cuisine restaurant right across the street, which I think was the best meal that we had while we were there. And then we went back and just hung out, played cards, and yeah, that was our night.
All right, so our last day in Europe, which was day 9, was a bit of a heavier note rather than the castles that we had been exploring so far. So we took a city bus to Dachau, Germany, from Munich, and we spent most of the day there. And yeah, it was a very surreal experience because, especially for a bunch of American children, like you read about it in stories, you learn about it in school, but walking on the gravel amongst the concrete walls, like it's a completely different feeling. And yeah, it was a very, like, it was heavy. That's how it felt. It was very heavy to be there. But it made us like realize the importance of visiting those kinds of historical sites and hearing the stories, those kinds of things like that you don't hear all the time. And on the next slide, there's also photos of just kind of around there. The bottom left photo is a kid that was in 12th grade. And that kind of put things into perspective because we have 12th graders that were on the trip that it's kind of like they were my age, which is just like really changes how you view things. Quick little history lesson. The bottom middle, it's the door to a gas chamber, and above it says bathhouse in German, and that's where the Nazis would trick their prisoners into thinking they were taking a shower, and then they would be gassed. So you not had to, but you could walk through that, and so that was like an even like weirder feeling because it didn't feel right to like be able to walk out when other people couldn't. And then far right that's an actual cell that was in one of the higher up buildings, so that's kind of where political prisoners would go, and that's where different officers kind of had it. Was like the more governmental building part of it. And the sign just kind of explains what the person was like that was in there. I don't know, he was some crazy guy, I don't remember him. But yeah, so that was how that went. And then we got to head back to Munich, and it was a much lighter note when we went to a nice little German restaurant that like, it had like fun paintings on the walls and like the German like little overalls and like the girls in the little dresses. Like it was very cute and like it was uplifting for the mood that we had kind of been surrounded by. And yeah, had more good food. They were hamburgers bigger than our faces. And yeah, a lot of good pasta. So that was day 9.
Okay, day 10, homecoming day. So we woke up very early and crossed the street to the metro station. From the metro station, we went to the Munich airport, where we went through TSA, baggage check. And then from Munich, we went to Atlanta. It was a 9.5-hour flight, but time-wise, it was like 3.5 since Atlanta is 6 hours behind Germany. Once we got to Atlanta, we went through customs and rechecked our bags. We got lunch at the airport in Atlanta, and then from there we went to Indy.
All right, so this is just a quote that I wrote on so we got these little journals before we went on the trip, and we got to write in them throughout the entire journey just so we can kind of look back on it later. And that was something that I wrote along the way. And it just kind of talks about the fact that I didn't know any of these people before we went on this trip. And none of us were like very close. Most of us didn't know each other. And so we got on a plane, not knowing each other. It was like just a name. And then we got off of the really long flight, and it was like we had known each other forever. So the trip was a really great opportunity to meet new people. And I think that this is a group of people that I'll always remember and probably have in my life. I hope so.
Well, I will say the reason we
remember each other so well after we got off that plane is because of the 4-hour layover on the tarmac. We got to all know each other real well. And so here are some of the fun pictures we took, like the one of me and the guy in the sunglasses. That's Pierre, our bus driver. Charles, down in the bottom left, had that princess hat. Just a bunch of fun stuff. People sleeping, people eating, people having fun. The very top left, I think that elevator was actually for one person because I couldn't even fit my luggage in there. And the fact that we were able to fit 6 people in there was pretty impressive. All right, so on this slide, these are some of the foods that we gladly got to indulge in. You know, from the pizzas to the pasta to the schnitzel to the burgers to all the food that was combined together on the trip. It was really interesting to see the different clashes of the cultures, you know, from American food like burgers to schnitzel, which is a German food. It was really interesting to try all those new foods, all the like homemade gelato that they had and the street vendors, all that, from the sparkling water instead of regular water, because apparently they drink sparkling water over there. That kind of screwed us up on a couple days. But it was really interesting to try all those new foods and see everything that they eat on a daily basis.
All right, me again. This is just another little talk about Anderson Hauser, just a nice little recap of just how amazing it was to be there. And when I got back on the trip, my English teacher asked me if I had gone on the trip because I wanted to be a part of either Anderson Hauser or just engineering in general. And my original answer was no, because that wasn't my intention. It was a trip to get to like learn things, because I don't know what I want to do. So it was about getting to explore and kind of figure out what I want to do. And the part that really stood out the most was the just like sheer amount of people and like the family that they had created within the organization. And I mean, it's international, but the communications was so like amazing. Like we walked into a room and we met this girl and she was like, oh yeah, like I was talking to my colleague from like Indonesia and like these kinds of things. And it's like, how does that just happen? Like, that's so cool. How do you just talk to these people from these other countries? So it was, yeah, it was really cool to see what goes on behind just engineering. Cause we didn't really go to a bunch of like hands-on like creational like warehouses or anything. We just went to a bunch of offices, and I mean, everybody had a smile on their face. Like, it was just a very welcoming environment that we're all grateful to have got to experience.
Some of the culture shocks that we experienced included the water. Lots of people there, actually pretty much everyone, drinks only sparkling water, so still water is a lot more expensive and harder to come by, which definitely makes you a lot more grateful for the still water we have here and how accessible it is. And also the caps did not come off the water bottles, which was very annoying. But yeah, and the AC, there was also a huge lack of AC everywhere, and with the heat, so it made it especially hot. And there were also not a lot of cars on the street at all. Most people utilized public transportation, using bikes, walking, scooters, trains, stuff like that. There weren't really any big trucks or anything like that on the road. There were also very little use of lights and more effective use of sunlight and windows. Like Brooks mentioned with the Anderson Hauser sales facility, they used windows and ceilings to let sunlight in instead of lights. And yeah, I really admire that. It's very eco-friendly, and yeah, those are some culture shocks.
Rating modes of transportation. First off the plane, we gave it 3 out of 5, just because it was so long in the same place without being able to get around and move. The city bus, we took this particularly in Germany. It was a really cool way to see the city, but it was just very hot and cramped. The train was a 5 out of 5. It was definitely one of the highlights of the trip. It was just so beautiful to go through these mountains, and it was just a very comfortable way of travel. The tour bus, this is what Pierre drove. We gave this a 4 out of 5 just because most of us here know cars and buses pretty well, so it's just a very comfortable and familiar way to travel. Traveler testimonials. I just feel so lucky to have been selected for this trip. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I said I was very grateful to Anderson Hauser, Franklin Community Schools, and my parents especially to just be able to go on this trip, and it's probably one of my favorite things I've done just in school in general, not just high school, but it just really gave me a different perspective on new parts of the world and traveling. And because whenever I was younger, I kind of planned to like never leave Indiana, and that was definitely way outside of that idea. But I definitely met some good friends and stuff over there too, as well as, like I said, we exchanged social media and stuff, and I still talk to some of the people we met over there.
I just can't express how grateful I am to have been selected to go on this trip. This is truly a chapter in my life that I will never forget.
I had always wanted to go to Europe and to travel, and that was my first time on a plane. So it was, it woke something in me, and now I'm going to start going more places if I can. I am forever grateful for this opportunity, and I've learned so much about different cultures and a lot more about engineering in general.
Through my experience at Enders Hauser, I have a newfound passion for engineering that I never knew I had.
Through this trip, it ignited a newfound curiosity to explore outside of the U.S. You know, there's that typical American stereotype that we never leave the U.S. and that everything we need is here. But this really opened my eyes to what the world has to offer outside of the U.S. and what we can see and explore.
I'm just very appreciative of the opportunity to explore my interests and see new parts of the world.
This trip was not only a highlight of my school career, but my life, and I am definitely grateful for that. I got a lot of insight on what E&H was like, and I can hope to experience and what I would hope to be further involved with the company.
I got to see sites that I could have never imagined seeing, old castles and cathedrals and amazing mountain ranges, things that have been there long before I was and will be there long after. I'm just so excited to have seen these things.
We would just like to thank the Franklin Education Connections, Anderson Hauser, and the school corporation for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Thank you guys for your time. Happy to answer any questions, but again, appreciate you guys supporting FEC. It's a great experience, so thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. I just have one comment for you guys. I appreciate you coming to City Council, and I'm sure the councilmen do too, to hear this testimonial from you. It sounds really good. And I was going to ask the question, would you do it again? But I think you've all answered at it. Yeah, it sounds like you would do it again. I do have one question. Since Franklin, Indiana, we are a safe community, and I hope everybody here feels that way. Did you guys feel safe while you was there? Good. Okay. Thank you. That's the only question I have, and you guys may have something.
Did you put on the application that they had to play cards and eat food? That was a theme I caught through that.
I think you guys deserve a round of applause.
Okay. Good job. With that, I think we will move on. So just hang on. We're just about done. We have the rest of the business tonight. Council comments. I'm going to start down here at the right. Noah, can you give us an update? Mayor's Youth Council.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Noah Woods. I'm a senior and treasurer for the Franklin Mayor's Youth Leadership Council. I'm joined today by fellow council members Madeline McCullough, Lizzie Werland, Abe Botkin, Carson Bland, Cooper Schmidt, and Arthur Thomas. And as well by Brooks Huddleston and Taylor McHenry, who partook in the Enders Hauser trip, and by the looks of it are also forming a basketball team. So last Wednesday or the week before, several members of the council went shopping at Walmart as part of the United Way Christmas Angels, and I believe we're sponsoring 3 children. So that's all been bought and paid for with council funds. And then more recently, with the pickleball court lights, the open bidding period for that will close tomorrow. And as of right now, there's only one bid in, but they could always come in last. And besides that, the award-winning Pop Post, the Franklin Community Middle School newspaper, will be writing an article on the council and the Moon Tree installation. That's all the business we have. Happy belated Thanksgiving, happy early Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. Jennifer?
Yep, I'll reiterate, because what you said is what I was going to say, and just adding on to that is thank you for representing Franklin Community High School and for the city of Franklin. And then one other, just to update, Todd and I represent the city of Franklin on the opioid council collaboration, I guess, which Johnson County and then most of the towns and cities in Johnson County are involved. And we've had a couple of meetings, but we had a meeting last week, and we've received 3 grant applications. And those individuals hopefully will all be attending December 16th to answer questions or just present their needs for the grants that they've applied for. So Todd, if you have anything else, you can.
Nope, you covered it.
Okay, thank you. Irene?
I only have I wanted to piggyback off of what Jennifer said. You guys, thank you for representing Franklin and having a really great time and experience. And I wanted to apologize for coming in late for the meeting. I was late.
The
The
snow.
roads are terrible out there. It was terrible coming from Indy. It was bad.
Okay,
That was
thank
it.
you. Todd?
Yeah.
I'd like to apologize for her too for being late.
Thanks, Todd.
You guys had a great trip. It was awesome. Brought tears to my eyes. You know, it's something you'll never forget, and I hope you get to go back someday.
Maybe we need to have a card challenge.
Thank you, Sean.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Okay. Ann?
I have nothing to add to that.
Okay, Josh?
Well, yeah, I was coming down here for the Board of Works meeting, and of course, late. And then, my surprise, you held the meeting for me. Now,
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
good comment there. Good thought.
no, I know. Really, I want to just publicly thanks to the businesses and all the individuals that made that trip possible for those kids. Definitely a once in a lifetime, maybe even a life-changing experience for them. So, thank you for everybody that put that on.
Thank you. Jan? Tara, do you have anything? Lynn?
I would just add, having been to many of those places, including Dachau, I can still remember the thing that you saw out there that says, those that forget the past are bound to repeat it. And it warms my heart to know that you're out there and looking at that and learning things of that kind of thing. So that's good. It also makes me feel good that it took 6 decades, 6 centuries for them to build a castle. Takes us 6 months to put a road in. I think we're doing all right. So,
Wishful thinking,
Yeah.
6
Okay.
6 months to build a
All right.
road. Okay, thank you, Lynn. I don't have anything else to add. It's just, I like to see our kids, our youth involved in the city of Franklin and coming and intermingling with the city council. Thank you for that, and I will say that every single time that you're here. So, thank you. We're ready for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Say it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Card game.
Pardon me?